Today we're going to be setting up this MeLE Slim Mini PC as a retro emulation console, essentially, where when we start it up, hit that power button, it just boots directly into a build. We don't have to mess with Windows at all. So this company, MeLE, they sent this to me for purpose of review. This mini PC is fairly reasonably priced, I would say. It's available on Amazon. There will be a link down below. What I like about this thing is that it's slim. It is tiny. It is essentially like if you took two Raspberry Pis in a case and lined them up next to each other, that's about how big this thing is. It is a tiny fella. And as far as the price goes, they have variations that start at around 150 bucks and go up to around $200. So yeah, like this thing is a bit more capable, I would say, than a Raspberry Pi 5. So you're already kind of getting at that price point with the Raspberry Pi. And, you know, we've kind of argued those things in the past as I've covered the Raspberry Pi quite a bit over the years as far as gaming goes. And it's starting to not make as much sense anymore with the Raspberry Pi for retro emulation gaming. So I think it's cool when we have a kind of cheaper option with a mini PC that's fairly capable. So let's go over the specs of this thing real quick and then get it set up to play some retro emulation. Like I said, to just boot straight into a build and start gaming, right? So this thing is a slim mini PC. It's their overclock 4C N150. They gave me the 16 gigabytes RAM, 512 gigabyte storage version. So as far as the inputs, outputs go, on the one side, we do have two USB 10 gigabytes per second ports, and then one old school USB port. It's 480 megabytes per second. And then going around the corner, we have a USB-C port that has power input, USB 10 gigabytes per second transfer, and display port functionality. So it does have power delivery enabled, full function USB Type-C, tons of options with that port. Very nice. Then we do have a micro SD card slot right over there. Very nice. Love having that option. And then a 3.5 millimeter audio jack, two HDMI 2.0 ports. So very cool. And then another USB-C port, but that's for power input, the 12 volt 3 amp to power this little fella. Then gigabit Ethernet port. And then around the front is our power button. So very cool. So this thing is simply a Intel N150 CPU, 4 cores, 4 threads, max 3.6 gigahertz CPU. Obviously, the GPU's UHD graphics. A very basic PC that they've overclocked a bit. I think this is a reasonably priced little mini guy, but what we're going to do is get this thing set up with a CoinOps build that you could just easily download off of backups.me, which I've used plenty of times in the past. And we're probably going to go with a smaller build, but I don't know for sure. I'll take a look. But yeah, that's the PC. Let's get this thing started and see what we got to do. So just to keep it simple, what I do to get a build onto a mini PC like this or any PC is I go to backups.me. Now there's tons of places you could download builds from that are complete, ready to go. And these builds that I'm talking about, you just download them and just run it, and that's it. You have no setup. You don't have to configure controls. You don't have to set up emulators, anything. You don't have to download games to install anything. They're just ready to go. But backups.me, there's tons of other places you can go, but this is where I go. I click on CoinOps Official, and they'll have like new releases people have put up. They're organized, and you'll have different sizes of stuff. You can click on them to see like what they're about. There may be comments explaining what they are and stuff like that. But I've downloaded a couple of them. One of them I'm going to check out is this Deluxe Inspire, which is a smaller build, and then a larger one that's the Legends Bit Wars that I've used before. So I put both of those onto this little MeLE mini PC, and we're just going to get it set up and just run them and see what this PC is capable of. So let's switch on over to that. Okay, so I did mention earlier that I want this PC to boot into one of these builds when I power it on. So just boom, straight into playing games. I don't want to mess with Windows 11. So I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. So what you want to do after you download one of these builds, and when you download it, essentially it's going to be a bunch of zip files. You'll just unzip the first file, and then you'll have like essentially this, one of these folders for the build. Like I have the Deluxe Inspire and then the Bit Wars one, and everything will just be self-contained in there. So right now I have it set up to, when I power this on, to boot into the Bit Wars build. And what you're going to want to do is, as you see on the desktop on the left, I have shortcuts to these builds. Just in case if I am on the desktop, I could just double click into one of them if I want. But you are going to want to make a shortcut in order to do this. So the way we're going to do that on Windows 11 is open up the folder for the build, go to the application. So Bit Wars right here, highlight it, get your cursor over it, mouse cursor, right click, click show more options, and then just create shortcut. So we're going to want to have that. I don't really need it because I've already done this, but I'm just kind of showing you, right? So on our keyboard, we're going to want to hit the Windows button and R and open this up. And I already have it typed in down there, but shell, little colon thingy there, and then startup. That's all we're going to want to type, and then hit enter. And it's just going to open up our startup folder. So as you see, in our startup folder, there's other ways to do this, but if applications are not available to run on startup, this is the way you would do it. You just put shortcuts into the startup folder and they'll boot on startup. So that's how you do that. It'd be the same thing for like this Deluxe Inspire. I could just throw that. You don't want both of them in there. You don't want both of them booting up if you have multiple builds, just whichever one you want to boot up, right? So I'll show that real quick. I'll just restart the PC. Just my luck, I have updates. Damn it. Okay, so here we go. Booting up. We will see the desktop for a second, but it will boot up in a moment without us doing anything. There we go. So this is the Legends Bit Wars build. I know I've shown this a few times on the channel before, but we've got stuff like arcade classics, 261 games, 75 Sega Genesis games. Shows the amount of games on the bottom right corner. Super Nintendo, 75 games. Very clean and slick build. Nintendo 64, 23 games. Dreamcast, 28. GameCube, 31. PlayStation 1, 36. PS2, there's just 8 games. PSP, 29. 26 Game Boy Advance, 38 NES. So this is kind of like I would say like a little classic. It's a legend. It's Legends, like a little classic build, right? A lot of cool stuff here. So let's check some few games out real quick. And this, I'm playing with the 8BitDo Pro 3 controller on this build. I have not done any kind of configurations. Everything is just already ready to go. So yeah, a little Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Playing great, looking awesome. And then select and start to exit. Check out some GameCube. Little Mario Kart Double Dash. Playing great. You do want to make sure the we had a bunch of updates on the PC that had to run, but you do want to make sure all updates are good. Get the best performance out of everything. But yeah, this is playing great. Check out some PS2 real quick. A little Tekken action. I'm not sure if PS2's pushing it with this little N150 chipset, but let's see. Seems a little sluggish. I think we might be able to play some PS2. It's just probably going to depend. Maybe lowering the resolution will help. Okay, so that was the Bit Wars build. Let's check out the Deluxe Inspire build real quick. So this is obviously its CoinOps build as well, but how it's set up, you scroll left and right to go to the different categories. So right here, it's arcades. We have 296 games. And then to the right is consoles, which is just the collection of 36 games. And then to the right again, favorites, last played, old school, and then beat 'em ups, like just categories of everything combined from, all the arcade and console stuff, run and gun, fight club, shoot 'em ups, racer, sports, so on and so forth. Let's see what this looks like in a fighting game, like Killer Instinct, for example. Okay, so by default, looks like we have scan lines, some bezel action going on. Doesn't look bad. And again, no setup for the controls. They just are automatically configured. And with these builds, both of them, I just downloaded them and just ran the executable, the application. No setup whatsoever. They just run. So very cool, easy way to get a little emulation setup going on a little mini PC like this for under $200. Fairly capable. Like I said, probably a better option than, the Raspberry Pis nowadays, which I'm still kind of partial to, but, still nice to look at other options that are available out there. And then this, hit select and start to exit. So there you go. I'll put links to everything down below, pin comment, description. Appreciate you guys. Let me know what you think. Bye.